so excited that you're here. Can I just geek out and fully fangirl all over you?
Sure, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We watched the Olympics and what you did. How are you physically, it's like a marvel of the human body what you accomplished out there.
Thank you. I mean, I really don't know how we do it. I think the trick is you just don't think about it, because if you actually think about doing stuff on a 4-inch wide beam, it's so scary that honestly, the less I think about it, the better. But I think a lot of people don't understand that gymnastics is terrifying for us. It's very scary.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. It's very scary. I mean, when you're running full force onto a vault, it's if you mess up or you breathe at the wrong time, you completely wipe out. And if you're tired, something hurts, we wipe out all the time. It happens. It's scary, though. It's not fun sometimes.
So it's mind over matter, basically.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, gymnastics is obviously very physically draining, but I think it's more mentally draining because it's so scary and you're training for so many hours that it's hard to stay focused for that long of a time. If I have some days, my coach would say you have 10 beam routines, so maybe the first 4 would be very good, but then the 6 after would be it was just so hard to stay focused for that long because it's only a minute and a half, but you have to think so much about each and every skill. Otherwise, you'll miss the beam or split the beam right down the middle, and that's not so fun.
And where do you keep your medals? Your bevy of medals.
Well, everyone asks me that question, but I actually keep them in a safe because I feel like people, that live near me, they know where I live, and I just keep them in a safe just in case.
That's actually a very smart move. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about life post-Rio. Congratulations on under 30.
Thank you.
Talk to me about that. What was that experience like for you?
Well, it was really exciting, and I can't believe I'm 22 years old and I was speaking at the Forbes under 30 event. I know my dad was really proud of that. It's so cool. My dad I look up to him. He's a great businessman. So it was just so exciting, and I spoke right after Michael Phelps, which, of course, again, it's just a pinch me moment, to watch him go up on stage and then to be able to follow him. It's very crazy. It's really hitting me now. I think the main difference between now and 4 years ago, I was telling you before we came out here, is that I really understand, the effect that we have on the younger generation. I think 4 years ago, I was 18 years old. You compete at the Olympics, but you don't really understand what comes after that and all the exciting things. And so now I understand it a little bit more, and it's just crazy kind of, how many little girls look up to us. And boys and other people as well, women. But, I remember being a little girl, so that's why I'm saying, little girls. But it's just very cool. And I don't think it's going to sink in for a long time, but it was awesome.
Well, my son wants to start gymnastics because we watched you compete.
Oh,
so there you go.
Amazing. Yeah, I always love whenever I do any kind of meet and greet. There's usually not that many, young boys that come, but it's always so exciting when they come and they say they do gymnastics, because I know in gymnastics, it's more popular for girls, but it's always so great, whenever we have little boys say that they started gymnastics, because they watched us. We're trying to make it more popular for both the boys and the little girls too. So that's really great to hear about your son.
Well, and you have a line of leotards. You have a line of socks. Did you really send leotards to Chrissy Teigen?
I didn't sell them to her, but
to send them to her.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. I gave her a leotard for her daughter, and then she's amazing. Her and her husband John, they came to help me get ready before the VMAs. It was the
because that's how she rolls now. She gets ready with Chrissy Teigen and John Legend.
It was crazy. She just tweeted at me, and then we just kind of started talking. And I said we happened to be at New York at the same time. If you can imagine, their schedules are just absolutely crazy. So it just worked out. And then I saw her again when I did lip sync battle. We went on with Olivia Munn. Simone and I, we were her special guests, and it was so cool. We went on the last 15, 20 seconds. And it's just crazy that that this is my life now. It really doesn't feel real at all. Honestly, it's crazy.
So how did you develop the line of leotards?
Well, I work with the company GK, and that's the biggest leotard brand in gymnastics. And they do our leotards, they do the Russian gymnasts, they do, other gymnasts from all over the world. And so I've always, that's always been the leotard the brand that I've worn, and I've loved fashion. Of course, it made sense to me because I'm in a leotard every single day. And so when I competed at national championships, my coach and I, we would design a leotard together, and then I just started to, I got a lot of positive feedback on it, and then I guess we collaborated, and every season we have 4 leotards that come out, and I try to do a patriotic leotard in each season, just because I feel like the last Olympics in 2012, a lot of people complained that we wore like pink and purple
How dare
leotards.
you.
Well, I mean, I think I agree a little bit. I feel like we should wear a little bit more patriotic. So this time in 2016, we wore all patriotic leotards. I know for the all-around final, I wore red, but that's still a patriotic color. It's a strong, confident color. But we didn't have any colors that weren't red, white, or blue. So I love it. I enjoy it, and it's really, really cool.
What goes into having the perfect leotard? I'm actually really curious about that because I know that there's a lot of factors that you guys take into consideration.
Well, I think it's all about your personal preference, but I personally love wearing, a patriotic leotard, a red, white, and blue one, and then I like something that's more simple. If it's not patriotic, then I like it a simple color, so red or white. Those are my favorite colors to wear, just because I think those are like very confident colors, and I like a simple color with a lot of sparkle. But I mean, I think everyone's different. Some people like, the younger kids, they like lime green and orange and all this crazy stuff. So, I mean, it's really cute. I think when I train in the morning, Wednesday morning, we train with the Mommy and Me classes, which is how I started gymnastics, and they'll wear, like the same leotard as I do. So it's funny, it's 22-year-old matching with a 2-year-old. It's really cute, and it's awesome. It's very sweet. It's crazy because they know me, and they say, that they watch me in the Olympics. I don't think they understand what that means, but it's so special to me that a 2 and a 3-year-old can understand, and that they look up to me at that young of an age. It's very humbling, and it really kind of makes you take a step back and really think about everything that you're doing in your life, because you have these little babies that are looking up to you. So it's really cool.
Well, I love what you're doing now because it seems like you really had a plan in place for after the Olympics with your sock line, the fact that you're really involved in your own branding and in your own business. Mm-hmm. So how did that all start for you? What was the impetus where you said, I can build on what I have accomplished?
Well, I mean, I think it really stems back to just my family. My parents are so supportive, and they've always been there for me. They've always supported me. And I think, probably when my grandmother passed away to lung cancer a couple of years ago, and I was really close to her, and we did some stuff for her charity. And so I've met so many incredible people. I've traveled the world. I've traveled all over the country. We're on tour right now, so we're, doing gymnastics and a dancing show all over the country, and you meet so many people. So I kind of figured with my sock line, every single month we're coming out with a new charity sock. So this is the first month we've done it, and this month is breast cancer month. And then next month is No Shave November, so for prostate cancer. So then, we haven't decided one for December yet, but it's just we're going to keep doing that because I think it's important to use your platform, to not only build your own brand, but of course to make a difference and to help someone else's lives. So for the socks, we're kind of doing it off of social media where, people can email the sock company and say how they're, somehow related to the cause. And so it's more of a personal thing where we send a fan that's been affected by it or knows someone that's affected by it a sock with a note from me, just so they can feel like there's a little bit more love and you can interact with your fans a little bit more, which is great. The great thing about social media these days is that it's such a powerful tool to interact with your fans all around the world.
Who's your business mentor?
I would say my biggest mentor, I guess my parents right now, just because I wouldn't be where I am, without them. They love me. They're with me every single step of the way, and they're so supportive. So I think my parents, my dad, he owns his own company. He sells health insurance, and so I kind of always saw growing up how hard he works, and I really looked after him for that. And then my mom, she's such a caring person. She's so kind. She's the one that actually put me in gymnastics. So, I owe a lot to them. They've been there with me. I wouldn't be where I am without them.
Oh, we know them from Rio. Yeah. I think everyone
they were
knows
literally
the
with
Raismans.
me every step of the way, yeah.
Are you back in the gym now, or are you taking time off?
Well, because we're on tour, we're sleeping on tour buses. So last night we had a show in Pittsburgh. We drove to Hershey, Pennsylvania. We got in at 2 a.m. And then I woke up in the morning and I drove here. So it's been sleeping on tour buses on the nights that we have shows. So I've been working out, but I've been also resting, because when you get in somewhere, a city at 2 a.m. or 4 a.m., it takes you a little bit by the time you get your hotel key, take your luggage into the room. Sometimes you can't wind down and go to sleep right away. But I'm also trying to let myself rest, just because we did just finish finished such an intense training, and we were competing so much that I've only probably had like a total of 2 or 3 days off since before I left for Rio. So I've been so
Oh my
grateful.
God, really?
Well, I've been so grateful. I'm not complaining. I've been so grateful for so many, exciting opportunities. So it's been amazing, but I want to make sure that I have enough time to rest as well.
How do you stay injury-free? Is there a formula that you follow, specifically you, Aly?
Well, I've actually been really lucky throughout my career. I had my injuries were a little bit more overuse, so gymnastics is one of those sports where it's very old school. So if you are injured, your coaches kind of just tell you to keep going. So it was hard, but I would say I've learned as I got older how important what you put into your body is. So I would drink a lot of water, and I found that drinking actually skim milk, I had at least 2 to 3 glasses of skim milk every single day. I know some people don't like to have dairy, but I personally that made such a difference for me. The inside of my leg was absolutely killing me, and that bone right there, it's not a good bone to break. So it was killing me, and I started drinking skim milk, and within a week the pain went away. So I really noticed the difference. And then I didn't really have a lot of sweets the months leading up to the Olympics because my Achilles was bothering me. Again, not a good injury that you want to have. So I found my nutritionist told me that the more sweets that you have, the more inflamed your body is, and it doesn't allow you, the sugars don't allow your body to heal. So again, I didn't really have a lot of sweets, and it got so much better. And I noticed actually when I finished competing after the Olympics, I had a lot of sweets, and I was eating what I wanted, and the pain started coming back. So it's really interesting how important it is for you just to eat healthy, and how much a well-balanced diet really makes a difference.
And I want to go back a little bit to what you were saying earlier about being a role model, because you for sure are a role model. And I think one of the things that I know resonated so much with people is how much you guys were a team at Rio, and how you supported each other, and there was no backbiting, and she got this many points, and and I was better. Did you guys go in? I mean, you were team captain, so how did you build that sense of unity?
Well, we have a really good relationship with each other, which I think is very special, and I think a lot of people, they really don't realize how close that we really are. I think sometimes, some people say, is it just for the cameras? They ask me that, and I got the same questions in 2012, but it's just, I think I've thought about it a lot, and it's interesting because we're all part of big families, so I think we're all used to kind of just getting along and sharing, and then we've been together for so many years. I've known Madison since she was 11 years old, and I've known Gabby, I think, since she was about 14 years old, so it's just, I had recently just met Simone and Lori a couple of years ago, but we kind of clicked right away. I'm actually 6 years older than Lori, so she's kind of like a little sister to me. And then Simone, of course, we really bonded just because, when I came back, I was used to being the number one in floor, and then I came back, and then she was better than me. So we would always kind of joke about it, but just in a complete joking way, because the way I looked at it was just, I was just so excited to be back, and even to be in the same, just to be on the Olympic team again. It hadn't been done in so long, so it was so exciting for me. And I kind of, we all realized very quickly that Simone was the best of the best, and that's amazing. And so I think it's important. It's really a time for women to kind of support each other and come together. And so I think we really wanted to show the world that, because I know so many people watch, gymnastics at the Olympics. So I think it was a great message that it's even if for me, I won the silver medal because it felt like gold to me. It didn't matter what color it was on the podium. It's just to be up there with your teammate, whether you're below her or not. It's just, you're out there supporting each other, and I think it's a great message for little girls and boys, everyone, that even if you're not first place, you can still cry and be so happy about it.
I think that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
What was the biggest hurdle you overcame to get to Rio?
It's hard to pick one. I would say at World Championships, about a year before, it was in October, I think. It was in Scotland. It was my first big competition back since 2012 Olympics. I took a year off after the Olympics, and then I took a year to get back into training. And then it was a full year actually back in training before I actually went to training camp. So I'd only done a couple of competitions, and usually I had been known for being very consistent out there on the floor, and I felt really nervous. I was really stressed out. I was putting too much pressure on myself, and our World Championships, the first day of competition, which is how you qualify for all the events, I had like my worst meet of my whole entire life, like even worse than when I was like 8 years old. I started on floor, and I actually landed out of bounds. So if you step out of bounds, it's 1/10, but if you land out of bounds, it's a 3/10 deduction. Plus, I took a couple steps out. So then I did another mistake somewhere on floor. So it was just they killed me in my score, which rightfully so. I messed up, but it was just seeing that score, and I realized I wouldn't advance to the floor final. So the last time everyone saw me compete, I was the Olympic champion on floor. Then I came back, and I didn't do well. I didn't even advance to the final, so it was just so heartbreaking for me. And then I went to vault, and I was so flustered and upset that I wasn't even close to sticking my vault. I ran a couple steps out of it, which was like a point off, and then I fell next event on bars, and then my beam, wasn't good, so I pretty much scored 4 points lower than I usually do, 1 point lower in each event, which is the same as a fall. So it was kind of a wake-up call for myself that I was putting way too much pressure on myself. I wasn't really enjoying gymnastics at that point because it was just so stressful. I was exhausted all the time. I wasn't really in a good state, and I could tell that my coaches were disappointing me, which is hard. You never want to disappoint anyone. I felt like I had let everyone back home down and everything, so I came back home, and I think everything happens for a reason. You have to find the good and the bad all the time. So when I look back now, I'm almost glad that it happened because it made me kind of switch my attitude around. I learned I need to be a little bit less hard on myself. I learned to trust myself, be more confident, and then I came back, and the next summer went great, so I was very happy.
Here you are now.
Yeah, so I think everything of course happens for a reason, but I think that was really hard for me to really struggle, and especially to be on such a world stage. Anytime you fall or mess up, you almost feel embarrassed, even though you shouldn't because we're human. But it was very hard and very stressful, leading up to the Olympics because you just want to do so well.
And last question before we go to the audience. Is there a song that you listen to before you compete, like something that kind of gets you in the headspace?
Well, before I competed, I listened to the song Lush Life by Zara Larsson all the time, and I actually just saw her the other day, and I was like freaking out, and I told her that I listened to her music all the time, and she was so nice. She was really excited, so it was like very, very cool for me, definitely a fangirl moment, but I love her music, and I listened to Final Song. That was like our group's, our group's favorite song was Final Song by M.O., I think. I think that's who it's by, but we were obsessed with it in Rio.
Well, clearly it worked. You guys were amazing, and you're pretty amazing. So to our audience, please.
Hey, Aly. First off, I just want to say congrats on securing the gold for Team USA. So my question to you is, what kind of pre-ritual do you do before you compete? Is there any warm-ups that you do?
Well, okay, so I don't really have any superstitions. I used to have superstitions, and then after the World Championships I just told you about, I stopped. My teammate Simone was the one that was saying that she thought that I didn't have a good competition because I was too focused on being superstitious, and then I stopped, so it worked. So thank you, Simone. But I mean, she is right. When you overthink things, it makes you go crazy. But I guess I do the same warm up every single time because we're usually competing as a team, we do the same warm-up. Marta Caroli does it with us, and then we warm up in the back gym, and then we go out, and you only have 30 seconds to warm up on each event, so I'll do the same exact 30-second, out of a minute and a half routine each time, just so you can kind of feel comfortable. And, because I've had so much experience competing, I know, which skills I need to warm up, which ones I don't. So it's kind of, we warm up in a different gym, and we actually don't even really get to practice in the arena, only one practice in the arena before you compete. So it's kind of hard to get used to all the lights and all the cameras and everything, but I would say I just like to try to keep myself warm. I always run in place. I always pace around back and forth. But I guess that's really the main thing that I have to do is pace around just to stay warm.
Just to keep your muscles loose and your mind occupied. That makes sense. Next question, please.
Hi. You mentioned your parents, so I was wondering, what was it like to have them become such a sensation while you were in Rio?
Well, it's funny because in 2012, their video went viral, and I'll go out in public with them, and people will just go right to my parents. They don't even recognize me, and then sometimes they're just oh, okay, that is you. But they don't, they go to my parents first. They recognize my parents within a second, and then they'll be oh, so how's your daughter doing? And my dad's she's right here. So it's really funny that people are just like obsessed with them, but I mean, they're so relatable to other parents. You know, I said we're on tour and we do the meet and greet, like every single mom says, oh, I'm just like your parents, just because they're really like embody that parent that just loves and supports your kid. And I think any parent that has their kid in any sport, they can relate, you know, when they're playing, because you just want them to do well, you're supporting them.
And even like when I was watching you, I was just like, please don't fall, please don't fall.
It's
Just
so
stick it, stick it. The double Arabian, she did it.
I know. It is. It's nerve-wracking.
Okay, I told you I was going to geek out. Here it comes. Last question, please.
Hey, Aly. So I know you're a Dancing with the Stars alum, and I know Sean and Nasty are too. So with Lori being on the show now, what kind of advice did you give her?
Well, I mean, I think that Sean, Nasi, and I, we just can't believe how amazing Lori is on the show. She's doing such a good job, and she's actually balancing being on Dancing with the Stars and on tour. So she's doing incredible. Like when I did the Dancing with the Stars, we did the tour first, and then I did Dancing with the Stars separately. So I've just been giving her advice just to make sure she sleeps enough, but she's doing like such an amazing job, and it's really cool because we've had 4 girls on Dancing with the Stars, so it's amazing, and you know, I'm sure that they're going to have more girls on the show in the future, but it's just awesome. We're excited for her, and I hope Lori wins. I mean, she deserves to. She's so good.
And where can we find out about all your projects, all your launches?
Well, I'm usually pretty active on my social media, but I guess the Feet Socks is just like feetsocks.com, and then the gkelite.com is the leotards, but I'm usually pretty active on my social media, just kind of like showing everyone what I've been up to and try to interact a bit with fans on that. I try to post photos of like little girls, and you know, my leotards are, you know, yesterday I had a meet and greet and some little girls asked me to post a photo with them, and they had this this Reebok shirt on, and I'm actually wearing it to my event tomorrow because it said "Strong is beautiful." And I love that message, so I'm excited to post it, and I'm going to try to tag them in it if I can find their Instagram. So hopefully they commented their names, but just because it was so cool, the shirt is just so powerful, and it's such a strong message.
I love what you represent. I just think it's so amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.